Chef Rajiv Goyal, co-founder, connoisseur, and expert in Indian spices. Chef has done extensive research in Indian spices over the years. During his own travels, he has visited many countries spread all over the major continents. His personal experiences with the food served in most so-called Indian restaurants in these countries gave him the inspiration to showcase the real Indian food to an international audience in place of the subpar imitations in vogue across the world. Some of the activities include food tours, cooking classes, tea tasting, wine tasting, farm trips, spice introduction classes, and a few others in various cities across India. Now, I would like to request Chef to please proceed with this session. Over to you, Chef. Thank you so much.
Good morning, everyone, and I really thank you all to attend this session. Uh, it's my pleasure to be here, and I'm hoping for some interesting session today. I will try my best to keep you engaged in this session throughout, but in case if I miss any point, do shoot me that thing in the end of the question and answer session. So I'm very much up for question answers today. See, food tourism or culinary tourism. If you look at one thing, this is not something you have to learn from the scratch. It is so much indulged in our own culture that thing has been, we have been doing it from so many years. It is just that we have to convert into a profession. Either as a hospitality student, you are working in a hotel, you are working as a chef, you are working as a tour consultant. Irrespective of anything, you are eating still 3 times a day. So your learning is 3 times a day anyway. So there's the chances that you cannot miss out the culinary tourism anyway. And this partial knowledge you have been getting throughout your life so far. The only thing is to learn it right. At this moment or in the current time, the India is not promoting our destination or our cities by the food, where directly or indirectly the approach of the traveler is for the food because it is different in every culture. At this point, when I start, I talk about the culinary tourism or food tourism. So, you know that every city have their nook and corners where they have something interesting belongs to that particular state or city. Besides that, there is a history that which has been unsaid. When I say unsaid history, I mean the detailed version of their logic about the ingredient availability, their logic about the Vedic science like Ayurvedic concept of something, the logic of easy or quick to serve, and so on. So everybody know about those things. But with the help or with the concept of culinary tourism, you get an opportunity to engage the traveler into a non-monumental traveling experience. That is what we call it experiential travel. The best part of experiential travels are that you are not a monument bound. When I say monument bound, it goes like you don't have to have a Taj Mahal in your city to do a culinary tourism experience. For an example, if you look at right now, I'm giving you a slide where we are talking about the history of food culture in India. Indian cuisine, as I said, that it's been evolved over the thousands of years. We have documented food from 2,500 years, 5,000 years, 3,000 years. And if you look at the country that we live in, we never compromise on the flavors or the logic of health. And I think that becomes already a selling point for our food to the world. At this current pandemic time, if you look at the internet, social media, technically we are celebrating this pandemic. We haven't, the pandemic was not able to take over our morale. You found that our food production, food cooking time have increased like anything. We have been pulling out the dishes from the internet. The YouTube also claimed or told that the highest hit is on the recipes of food in this current pandemic time. Facebook already have contacted all the influencers where they are asking or content creators to create more recipes on their pages or engagement pages, because that is what the most highest or most running trend right now. So I think that's very well explanatory to you guys as well, and I'm sure you guys are also venturing into new food within the home. But at the same time, we are following this kind of culture from ages, where we have classified food into Sattvic, Tamasic, Rajasic. Nowhere in the world you will ever find that the food can be designed or decided or based on your particular kind of work or profession you do. That is what India is all about. The food culture which is influenced by Mughals, British, Portuguese, Jewish, so on. You cannot imagine how many cultures you can talk about. A land of Buddha, land of Jainism, where we have gone so much in detail about the food and food science that one cannot take over any time, given time. Our food, our religious books talks about food. We have a separate, you can say, religious department who is talking about our festivals cannot be ignored. Our, like as I said, that what I'm talking about here is like most of us can instantly relate with it. But at the same time, they are all scattered. The pearls that we are talking about, they are all scattered. And the culinary tourism will play a role by making it a very beautiful necklace. So at this point, these are the key important points I have listed here, in which we are talking about food walks, culinary activities like cooking, so on need to be organized as a development of a country. So it looks very easy when you say, okay, food walk, I know what is food walk or food tour is this. But honestly, you don't. Because for most of the people, food walk is around hopping around different food stalls, which is not true. The food hopping is not food tour. Food hopping is not a food walk. Make a difference here. Understand. Taking a camera, going to any cart and talking to his family since how many years we are doing, how you started and all that thing is okay, good, very good. It's a good content. But when you create a product around it, you need to have basic knowledge. So never be hesitant about going deep and understanding the ingredient, going by learning how the ingredient came to that city, town, the health benefit of it, and then the incorporation into a recipe. That is what the traveler, tourist would like to learn and talk about. I think that already takes a step ahead and create more content while you are giving that experience to your client or a customer. That is one. Where I already said the skill development for food tourism. This particular tourism also required at this point where we are standing at the country, there is a need that where we have to upgrade our visual hygiene and the serving hygiene. I think this current pandemic, somewhere or the other, have taught us the importance of hand sanitizer, mask, gloves. But I wish even the pandemic is over, we should continue in certain sector with this kind of parameters of cleanliness, because it is not bad. I think we should utilize or we should learn from this situation that what should be the sanitation level of every outlet or every food store. That what comforts and ensure the high standard of quality of the product when you create around it. Second, street food vendor upgrading, which I already expecting after the pandemic, that if you have to be in the market, you have to be good. When I say good, I mean you're talking about the offerings, hygiene, maintenance of the stands, and everything. And even if you're starting with it right now, you already having a promotion tool, which I call it Edible India, hashtag Edible India. You all are on social media. You can click your food. You can ask your mom. You can ask your father, grandma, grandpa, uncle, auntie, neighbors. Whenever you come across any food, that what is it, and document it. Knowledge never goes waste. So, and don't take it as a study material. This very easily can convert you into very good numbers. I've been doing this business for past 10 years. Trust me, there's a very good money in it. But beside that, as long as you are doing it right. So that is the important part. We really take very less effort if you do it right, because there's a sheer number of Indian cuisine. First, like you don't have to rely on one. Specifically, if I talk about example, Kolkata, you can do a Chinatown, you can do a Marwadi Khana, you can do Bengali Khana, so on. You can do influential Mughlai food there, which is also very much in trend. Then we talk about the food. The globe knows our food already. It is only that you have to tell them what they don't know. So we're not selling butter chicken, chicken tikka masala or Rogan Josh, which they know it already. So we would really like to take over and talk about some local cuisine in each city. We are talking about kachoris. We are talking about there are many dishes but people barely know about it. India is a country where you can try 17, 20 different kind of biryani itself. So why are you worried about the variety? And a lot of restaurants already exist in the world. It's one of our story as well that I started my working because I didn't find the good food. That's how I created the food tourism in India, that let the people from outside country should learn about Indian food. It is very easy to integrate with the tourism activity because at least anyway, if somebody is coming to the country and if he's coming and traveling for 5 days in your country, by any chance in that 5 days, he's going to eat 15 times. So you're not making any extra effort to divert him or convert him into a food tourism. But you have to make it interesting, all those 15 meals, that he should not repeat one. And living in this country, we can of course do it. There are certain subcategories as well to understand food tourism. Food tourism as a base, you can see that I created a small slide. I'll give you a little time to read about it. It's an easy one to understand that we are one of the best producer of tea and coffee in the world. Darjeeling, we can thank Darjeeling for giving us that opportunity to claim that. And same time, I think we have been most underrated, but we have amazing wines in India. And these wines basically are been in south part of India. At the same time, if you look at the rural tourism, our villages are still very ethnic and very amazingly they have been doing pretty well for them, and keeping or preserving the traditions that which world need to learn, the practices they have, and there is a logical practices for that. Then it also brings out an opportunity for a food processing and agriculture tourism. So it's not like, for example, if you have done an MBA in tourism and marketing, you always have an opportunity to extend your career into either food processing or agriculture tourism. One. In India, if you really go and deep research yourself, because what I'm talking about, just go on the common books like Ayurveda, Shushrutveda, to go on, even you will find there is a concept of Vedic farming. Vedic farming. Vedic farming, you create an ecosystem around you that you only eat what a farmer can grow easily. Less impact on a farmer, less impact on a Mother Earth. That is one of the basic fundamentals of Vedic farming. That's what you're going to get in the ancient history. But anyway, coming back to it, so some of the points to encourage the richness of food culture, extend national integration of India around the world, to promote improved quality of invite new stream of tourism movement. We should always promote it as a way. Develop and dignity, respect, nurture the local culture so they enrich the tourism experience to build the pride. You know, it is very important when we're saying that we are coming up with a new product. That's where the role of you guys comes in. Because if I say I'm taking a baton and I'm promoting the subject, food tourism or culinary tourism in the world, okay, I'm promoting it. But at last, that product needs to be catered. Catered not only by my company, catered by all Indian tour and travel operators. And that's where the workforce like you can jump in and say that, okay, I know basics what the tourism requires and Travel and Tourism Institute teaches you, but add-on I have is a culinary tourism background. Or I know the things about the culinary tourism. I can even enrich your existing itinerary by adding the highlight of culinary tourism in it. I think that's where you can make a difference at this point. And I need people and students like you guys who are listening here to make sure this kind of an agenda lasts longer. Our country, at the end of the day, if the country grows, you grow. So one should not forget that. And at the same time, if somehow we are able to pull out this kind of subject like culinary tourism, trust me, our future generation will be able to experience our preserved culture and our preserved art forms in a very different way. A lot of around the world, people are struggling to preserve their art and culture. I'm very sure with the food, at least we'll be able to save our art and culture within our country. Food tourism around the world, if you look at overall, over half of all the respondents take pictures of food when they travel, 60%, and share travel experience on social media, 61% on at least half of their trips. 59% of the respondents, this is the survey we are talking about here. This is the survey we took. And 59% respondents believe that the food and beverage is more important when they travel than it was 5 years ago. So imagine that nowadays the travelers are smart. I'm sure even you guys also try to explore that where we must eat when we travel to that city or state. Anyway, that's, I think, already been covered, but you can look out that people are also exploring not just food, they're also going to local grocery, gourmet stores, and to find out what are the local ingredients there. Five different types of culinary activities have been taken, either food walks, either you talk about the cooking classes, either you talk about the farm visit, either you talk about some sort of chocolate making. These are the popular products which are growing around the world. And I guess there is an opportunity we can create that kind of ecosystem, that the variety of the product can be increased within the offering of travel industry at this moment. Anyway, 81% believing eating and drinking helps in understanding the local culture. 81% believe, I believe 100% it helps you. I can judge a person the way he eats, the way he cooks. This is what I think, or I feel about. 82% also said that they spend more on the food and drinks when they're traveling than when they are at home. At this number, it wasn't going higher, food travelers. So of course, so any which way that whoever traveling in India is eating, and we are just making it interesting. So what else you need? So this 93% participant in a unique food beverages traveling around 2 years, culinary travelers spent around 48% more per trip than other leisure who will live in the US. So imagine that they're already saying that they have spent more money on it. Where we talk about 48% respondents said that the restaurant selection is important to their overall trip experience. So imagine that if you're doing it upfront rather than let them search about it. So it makes it very interesting already. You're going level above of services. And you know, both ways. If I say if you're a chef or you're learning a culinary activity as a chef, it is important to go detail and explain your dishes. Very much it is important if you can cover 360-degree part of the dishes, while either talking about the health, either talking about the origin, either talking about the ingredient and its medicinal value, so on. So it plays a very important role where the itinerary preparing team can also work in the same way, where they can talk about the highlight. If they can put one chapter, one para about the highlighting food culture of that city, state they are visiting, I think it's have a very different approach for a customer to visiting that city or state. Anyway, so these are some of the countries: Italy, Australia, Vietnam, France. Number of tourism, UN WTO data from 2018, and these are the countries which are been promoting their country as a food tourism, culinary tourism destination. So they have found significant growth. India is still little overhead Vietnam, and way less than Italy and France. So we can talk about it. So again, why India should promote food tourism? A birthplace of Ayurveda, a concept of temple food, forest food in tribes in India are still on 24% dependent on the forest food. You know, guys, forest food, what is forest food? When I say forest food, I mean a non-cultivated food. You might be surprised to learn or talk about, but specifically in the state of Odisha, there's still 24% in the area we're talking about. In tribal, there are more percentage, we can say, of food which they don't grow. They accept as a mother nature grows it, which means that it's very, very environmental friendly. Not just environmental friendly, it's very differently, thought about it. Think about the food that you're accepting as the nature gives you. That's how originally it was, but not anymore. Anyway, so that's very interesting thing to learn from the Odisha, state Odisha, which is still able to preserve that tribal culture in there, and there's a lot to learn from the tribe in terms of food, in terms of many practices. If you still go deep and research about it, the tribes still maintain the seed banking. They still do seed banking they're eating a lot of tubers, basically tubers like a yam and other tubers. Tuber eating culture is still in there. Art of preservation, basically art of preservation. When I say, I mean uh, compared to the world, I think we know it better. We really preserve our food very well. I don't know who named pickle as a pickle, but for me, pickle means an art of preservation rather than fermenting things, because we know how to cure food and preserve it longer. So unfortunately, the name is pickle, but I would say preserver or something, whatever you can say. Not pickle, what globally branding means that it is fermented. No, our pickles are not fermented. They are very well preserved. So do we preserve meat in a many different forms. Either drying, either making a pickle out of it. Pickle again, which I say, I mean preserving out of it, and smoking and other thing that we do with the meats. That's a lot of thing to do. The ancient way of food processing, even the bitterest food. Imagine all of us know Karela, the bitter gourd, and 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 we enjoy it like anything. If you offer to someone in the West that okay, this is bitter gourd, it's good for you, no matter you're not going to eat anyway. But somehow in India we have learned the if it's good for you, if it's good for greater good, if the food is for greater good, we somehow going to manage to eat it. So, an Indian eating manners are also very important part that the world can learn. The connection between you and the food is very different. You go way deep and learn the art, the way to sit when you're eating, the discipline that the order you eat with. First you eat rice, then you go towards the bread, the raita combination with the hot food, so on. I think many things that is very unexplained, and every food has a logic. So from now onwards, I think beside your college, the study is at very street level or home level. You can ask your parents, you can ask your dadi, you can ask your dada, neighbors, anyone old. You think that why and how they were doing those food practices. That is the content of your study. You're going to do it for the culinary tourism. This is one of the frame which is very important. In case you guys are taking a screenshots or clicking the pictures, definitely you should click this one. It's a framework for promoting culinary tourism in India. I'm going to take a pause here and let you read or understand it. And it's going to play a very important role. This is a framework basically. You can choose where you fit in. Basically, it's having, initially it's having the 6 stages, but later in every stage goes into a different segment. So primarily 6 heads: cuisine and food culture, feature food and recipes, table manners, culinary tourism by itself as a subject, restaurant certification, restaurant guide, and you can imagine yourself in any position there. Moving towards the next slide. The countries with an official food tourism, I showed you the graph earlier, but if you go by their official websites, you will find that the food is very much part of their itineraries now. Luckily, India is also getting into that. These are some of my particular media recognitions, and thank you to the media. Actually, they were able to bring us to a certain point that where at least people have started learning and talking about it. They talk about National Geographic, Hindustan Times, a lot of other global media as well. This is a very interesting one, where I say that other countries have incorporated culinary tourism. Visit Korea has a big program about it, food in Korea, on their website itself. What to eat, where to eat, how to cook. So it is all about that. They have learned the importance of it, and I hope India is already on the track of it, where we should put this on the front line as well. At least if the country start thinking and people, travel agents are doing it, they will be needing a people who can run the show. And at least that is like a job security to you guys who are learning right now in the institutes. You can laugh at it because the plan going to be remain plan right now. These were some of the milestone I created back then, and without clueless about the pandemic. But we were doing food tourism events around the cities, different cities of India, and pulling out and letting people from the homes and shops to showcase their culture. It would have been a food event. We were also thinking about getting into a Delhi night market. I'm based out of Delhi, so at least start from Delhi and then go on to other organized market, which could be a non-monumental tourism spot. Then we're talking about the travel industry training, what I'm doing right now. So I wish that in future I might be able to meet you in person and talk a lot more. But at this point, I feel it's very best way to connect with you guys. That one should learn about it. At least start exploring about it. And then the agenda was to skill development. We have already started the skill development as an organization. If you see a logo on the bottom, that is one of my organizations for which I'm a president and also a founder. It's called India Food Tourism Organization, where we are talking about the development of the subject. Food tourism event, there was no need, but I named it as the Indian Backyards. And we really wanted that it should be an event where farmers could take a participation, because it's very important. The agriculture should come in the education, because barely we know about our food growth and how the food works, where are we growing food, and so on. Moving towards the next one, visitor profile as well, event plan. Night market is very interesting, and it's kind of you can say tourist spot or a tourist, you can say non-monumental spot where people get to showcase the food from their houses. People have their own day jobs they work in, but they spend their nights once a week showcasing their family food. So it was very important that our government should think about it. But anyway, I'm sure we are doing good and we're going to do the best soon. Cuisine outside India, the Indian food. These are some of the surveys which are published and we can use it. So, and the numbers have grown tremendously now. That UK, US, China, these are the prominent countries where the Indian food was very much in trend. Indian migrants have at least made their impression and made our food visible there. I'm going to thank you here for the slide and allowing me. If it's okay, we can open the podium for the question and answers. Indranil.
Okay, Chef, I would like to request Chef Indranil to please start proceeding the question answer section. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Chef, for this wonderful insight of this culinary tourism in India. I would like to seek your permission towards going to the questions asked by the participants. One of the question asked by a participant that, sir, after this pandemic is over, how our industry cope with the changing trends in various parts of the world, especially in our country, India?
I think, if your question already have an answer. So if you're having a hope about that, how the India going to cope about it, the world have already seen or looking at the kind of recovery rate we have. And the globe already started talking about the Indian food habits, considering the same. That the recovery rate, the kind of recovery rate we have, I think people are talking about the herb eating culture. Herb, when I say, which I call it herb, in your language you call it spices. You agree, Chef? Chef Indranil, you agree with that?
Yes, 100%.
The incorporation of spices or herbs in our daily life is somewhere working as a long-term immunity building exercise. So that's how we have survived so many things. Some of the things didn't even came in our recognition that we have survived. So the world would like to know in future how India did that and how they can do it. So I think this is one of the greatest subjects right now, the culinary tourism. We should be prepared with, and we can showcase the world after the pandemic over. So don't be hesitant, worried about it. I think you should utilize this time to incorporate or learn more. It is very important. You can't win without learning. So I would say learn and yeah.
Thank you very much, Chef, for the answer. Another question from a participant. How can we promote our food to culture? Or how can we promote our food culture to the rest of the world?
See, promotion and knowing about it are two different things. The most important part is you should know it right. Know it right that what is your food culture. It is based on, at least you have to make a pointers yourself. Because if you say, I'm talking about your culture, whenever you talk about your culture, that need to be bifurcated, at least into the origin, at least into the availability around the availability of the food. And then the way you do it, at least three things are the important key factors. And nowadays you don't have to worry about how to promote. The social media itself, it's like, it has been reduced even to a size of your phone now. The voice of promotion has reduced to the size of phone. And there were so many success stories that there is a called Village Food Factory, the daddy kitchen.
Yes.
Can you imagine the global YouTubers are coming and shooting with him? Unfortunately, this guy is no more alive, but still, I was reading about one Bangladeshi guy who is running his whole family, whole village, just by running a YouTube channel. So it's based on you, nobody can answer you that how you can do it. You know the answer that you can do it if you know it right. So the most important factor here is you should promote, but promote the right. You should learn first. Yeah, next.
Thank you, Chef. Another question from a participant. Is there any government scheme to promote or support the food tourism of India?
Not as of now, but there are various schemes to promote tourism anyway, but not specific to food tourism, but I'm sure it will be coming in future. I'm very confident about it. There will be one in the future. Over. Yeah.
Chef, a question. Can food blogs or vlogs promote food tourism?
Definitely.
Can it be done
100,
through platforms
100.
like YouTube or any other?
Yeah, I would say yes, of course. That is what I mentioned in earlier, that these kind of platforms are really helping at least. But I think the content is very, very important factor. So if you dive in deep in and start highlighting certain factors which are completely ignored by the globe, would also create that curiosity level, or at least you should loop in that kind of content where you can say that visit India or come to India and explore by yourself, something like that.
Right. Chef, I have a question on my own.
Please.
So we talk about Vedic cuisine, we talk about vegan cuisine. How, because vegan cuisine they have already started across the globe, and people their interest inclined towards it. How we can promote or how we can link with the Indian food to vegan cuisine or Vedic cuisine? If you talk about
So,
both are different, I know.
I have a very different personal opinion of mine, so nobody should get offended about it, guys, if I'm making my opinion. See, some of this Western infections like organic and vegan doesn't apply in India. We never gone to that extent where we have abused the nature. For me, the term organic is an abusive nature. Basically, first something was growing naturally, then you got into the industrial production of that. Then you realize, okay, we have messed up this thing, and now we have to turn back and do something naturally, and then you call it or you brand it organically. Sorry, we don't accept in India. We have been doing it nicely or anyway. I think initially, if you go by the logics earlier when the organic arrived in India, for a long time, we were surprised, and already in India, like the state Meghalaya, have vandalized that. They say that we're not going to accept any kind of organic certification. Are we going to do it? Because they never gone into that kind of abusive farming that they have to take it. And where the current organic farming comes with the restriction that you have to leave your land for 3 years and so on, and then you will get a certification. It became a mafia now. And I'm with the farmers of that area or those farmers who are still growing naturally. So, and the vegan concept, I'm now going to address the vegan concept. We've never gone into that kind of industrialization of the vegan or animal products that we should turn vegan first, where we have a Jain food as our own culture, but people connect with the organism or basically microorganism or vegetarianism. No, Jain food is a very different Vedic science where they are talking about maintaining the body temperature and they are avoiding all the food which could impact your body temperature. And veganism came out of the abusing of the culture. So personally, I would not, I don't support and I don't let anybody support it because it's a very fashion trendy thing and there is no base reason behind it. They have done the all worst to the nature and then they claim it like, okay, now let's turn vegan. So not my suggestion to it. I don't know, it's very personal opinion of mine. I don't force on anyone, but this is what I think. Well, I don't know how you're going to react to it, but this is what I think. It's not really acceptable in India. Not in my country.
One of a student of ours asked a very good question. I hope you will definitely enjoy answering it. Should culinary tourism in India be more focused on the local street food, or should we learn more towards gourmet version of same street food style with the pandemic promotion, major health and hygiene factor or norms?
A very, very sensible question. Very, very sensible question. This kind of, when you say, I would say street or regional cuisine. Rather, like, let's a little make the spectrum broader. Gourmet is important. I won't say there's all class should exist in all formats, but I think the promotion of regional and street is what I love and I do, and it also helps in two amazing that the food travel time decreases. It is very, very important that your food should grow around you. What you're eating should be grown around you. That also helps you Vedically, logically, that you're not having a non-seasonal food in daily life. Street food, of course, it always tell it helps the local economy and somehow the tourism product has been created over it. So you're not just doing good to the hotels or industries like big ones, you're also bringing to the lowest possible way of earning and you're connecting it to looping it to the lowest possible staircase one can reach to. So nothing better than that everybody is making a profit out of tourism. That is one of the best way. But regional and street food, yes, I would say best. And they are different. That is one of the things. Because once you talk about the gourmet, your options are limited. But once you talk about the street food, even two dishes can be different. Selling in the same area. Same dish can be two different ways cooked in that area. Can be in your list where gourmet have a limitation. So I would go with the street food and regional food. One should add it there. Yeah.
Chat box is flooded with some good questions. I'm definitely coming up one by one. In this time of COVID-19 pandemic, where traveling is absolutely limited, and how can a gastronomy tourism as a part of the food tourism industry be promoted in India along with the culinary tourism? How does one promote the lost recipes at this time?
See, promotion is one thing, learning about it is another thing. So I think you're missing out one point that at this point you declare that you know everything. I think it's very, very important that you should learn right now, and as soon as the door opens, you are ready with the product and you're ready with the knowledge. So, and that the depth is infinity of the subject. You can learn about 2,000, 4,000 years of food culture in India. You can talk about the Mahabharata food. Mostly people doesn't know about what is Mahabharata food. Who was serving? Everybody knows about the Mahabharata happened with so many soldiers, so many people died, and so on. Anybody know who was serving the food in Mahabharata? Indrali, do you know who was serving the food in Mahabharata?
The food in Mahabharata.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
I have to go back. I have to go back to my school books or my college books and read it again.
Nowhere you're going to find it. Nowhere you're going to. Udupi was serving. Udupi.
South Indian.
Udupi.
Yeah,
Udupi. Learn about it. I think there's so much to talk and learn about it.
Because
Trust me,
Indian cuisine has a big spectrum of it, because I think the one pot is not enough to finish Indian cuisine.
yeah, yeah. So even today you start picking up, okay, let's talk about the biryani. Trust me, you will take at least 6 months to reach
Yeah, I
how
understand.
the,
Even
how,
for tandoor from your Harappa culture and one other culture there.
yeah, 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 the pit
Yeah,
cooking, pit
yeah, the pit
cooking.
cooking.
Tandoor is a very new word, I would say, in this pit
Yeah,
cooking
the
concept,
last word came as tandoor.
and which
Und,
survived till now.
andoor, yes, yes.
Yes, yes. So
Most
there is a
popular
lot to
cuisine in
learn.
India.
Yeah, yeah. And luckily, we are in a country where we are still have 600 plus noted, documented flatbreads. For an example, you
But we
start
still
reading
go
today.
towards the international one.
Yeah, 628 flatbreads plus. So that's one of the things that one have to explore. So don't utilize this time. It's very, very important. Trust me, I don't think so. I don't want either this kind of time availability in future, but one should utilize this right now. One should not get desperate about selling it. One should get desperate about learning about it first.
Thank you very much, Chef. I have another question from a participant. When did the food tourism begin, and what is the impact of cultural politics in the food tourism in India?
Cultural politics.
Yeah.
I think this is what new terminology for me. Cultural politics is
A
something new.
participant asked this question. I'm not going to mention anyone's name here. So, what did the food tourism began? I know, but the next means the phase of the question is little. Uh,
When did it begin? You know, guys, we always had this. You cannot separate food tourism and tourism. If you look at uh, the restaurants, for an example, there is a one restaurant in Delhi which is Bukhara, for example, you
yeah,
say.
yeah.
Always been India, if you go by, India has been doing uh, a food diplomacy from a long time. The dinner at Hyderabad House with our president or prime minister has been part of our diplomacy from many, many years. Dal Raisina is in the menu from ages. The president Dal Raisina, and there are a lot of stories around it that if any international delegate has Dal Raisina, he has reached to a level of a good friendship, you can say, so on. So food diplomacy has always been a part of India culture. Food tourism, at least people are eating 3 times a day. So exactly to recognize or talk about, but you can say I proudly call my company as India's first culinary tourism company, which officially promoting culinary tourism. And I started 2010. So at this point, I hold that monopoly kind of what I can say, at least in the first comers, that India's first company that we started 2010. Yeah, yeah, please.
It's been 10 years you're running this company, and
You can broadly say that.
a question from a participant: what role does India play in the culinary tourism around the world? Some of you have answered the
Definitely,
question. Yes, some of you answered the question in a different way. But,
yeah, yeah. I've already said that. I think at this point, let's erase this board now and talk about that. India knows how to eat and survive the best way. So that is the quickest answer I can give about this.
a very good question from a participant: that what are the dishes to improve our immunity power right now in this pandemic situation? So I think you are mastering that.
See, immunity is not a one-day thing. So it's not like that you take one thing, eat one thing and your immunity is strong.
Because this a particular question is asked by everyone nowadays, and they have already started practicing at the home.
Yeah. In fact, first I would say what you don't need to do it. Unfortunately, what I found that people started taking kada, and kada is a concoction, which is a herbal tea where you're incorporating, and it could lead you to a different problems because kada is so hot in terms of its nature, not in terms of temperature, nature, that it could really, really burn off some of your organs if you consume it every day.
And what are the ratio of ingredient? Is there any domination ingredient there? You should be putting
So,
in kada.
tulsi is like one of the ingredients I recommend everyone. Very good household, everyone have it. The curry leaves is another good one. Basically, immunity means a good health. So I relate good health with a good immunity is like if you have a good digestive system, if your sinuses are clean, these are the clear symptoms of immunity. So if you breathe better and if your stomach is cool, So that's one of the best way to understand the common man immunity. So tulsi is one thing I say. Decoctions like decoction mean I say, even if you take a tulsi water, if you take a vetiver, do you understand vetiver? Uh,
Bitter
pan
leaves.
is a
Yes, bitter leaves.
betel leaves. If we talk about the betel leaves or pan, is also having a very good immunity boosting. Basically, three dosha solution it is. So I'm not saying that you should start eating pan tomorrow onwards, but for a good one, what I learned and I think it's working well is a juice of pan. Basically, you take a pan ka patta, green one, the big one, uh, add some few drops of water, crush it with a muslin cloth. You take the juice out of it, and with a ginger, equal amount, both 1 spoon and 1 spoon ginger.
Ginger
You
to
can
be
have a
crushed or ginger to be you should be taking the extract of it.
so you grate ginger and then
Yeah.
extract the you can say not oleoresin, but you can say it's juice basically. So half 1 teaspoon is good for you, at least in every 1 day. It keeps your lungs clean at this current pandemic. That's what we are most worried about. So lung cleaning is very important. So this is a very easy one. Tulsi water is good one. Curry leaves is very good thing for you. And a lot of time we eat curry leaves, but we throw the stems of curry leaves. So boil the
Maximum times we throw it out.
yeah. So we don't realize, but it got a very good power for booster hemoglobin. So boil those stems and cool it down and just have it as a drink. It's a very good alternate drink. You can have it with put some honey if you want, or just buy like instead of water, just eat that. Just drink that. That just boil them. Just boil them and cool it down. That's all. That's what you need to do. So it is like not wasting root to stem. Basically, that's what you say. So another thing which I also recommend coriander. Coriander, the root of coriander, we throw it usually.
It's one of the finest ingredients that I ever exists in anyone's kitchen. It's one of the
So
finest
that
ingredients.
it's one of the finest exactly. So even stems of coriander is important. The root is very important. You can boil it and drink it as another supplement. So it's an easy one. You don't have to drink it hot. It should go. Even I would say for humans, it is very important that we should not stress our body. So if you learn from Japanese as a culture, they don't drink anything boiling temperature. So we are supposed our body temperature is 37 degrees right now. I think all of us learned because of this thermal scanning and everything what we do. So 10, 20 degree above and below is good for you. So you should not drink everything piping hot. Your body has the capability of, dealing with a lot of things, but you should not put your body into shock by drinking too hot, because then your body struggles to stabilize the temperature. Anyway, if you're drinking something at assumably, let's say 80 degree or 70 degree, and body need to bring back it to 37 so that it can stay in your body. So consuming it at minimum, you can say 60 degrees, maximum 70, 60 degrees is good for you. That's one thing I say. If you want to drink anything hot. So please, next question. If you think it's answered.
Yes, absolutely. In India, is a research study in food is that much recognized as other studies they're doing in the research kind?
Of course. Yoga, Ayurveda. Unfortunately, we Indians ignore it completely. The garam masala that you eat every day in your kitchen is a concoction of made by Ayurveda. It is not somebody just one day thought, okay, let's do this. No, it's not. It's an Ayurveda. Only thing is that we are one of the most ignorant nationality in the world, you can say easily, including me, myself too. That what I learned, that's how I got into this kind of research. After learning that the science is not far from you. It's very much within your home and the basic thing that you do. The way you make any food is science already. It is just we are not documenting, nor we are learning from it why and how we are doing it. So why we are using kuti mirchi instead of pisi mirchi, why we are using chilies only in the oil, not in the water. It is also a science to learn, where we understood that red chili is a fat soluble. It will only soluble in the water, fat, not in the water. So we don't add it there. We use green chili in the water soups and broths. That's one logic, because green chilies is a water soluble thing. So science is right within your home. You don't have to go somewhere in the lab or to learn about it. The education is very much in your kitchen. Only thing is that you need to sit down, be calm, and learn about it.
I will be going towards a very good question. Is there any fine difference between gastronomic tourism, culinary tourism, and food tourism?
No, it's a synonym. It's a synonym. One you can add in another term you can add is cuisine tourism. I've heard. So you name it anything, but end of the day,
Basically, yes.
Yeah. The fundamental is one.
Because a lot of people get having some misconception on what gastronomic tourism is something different.
Gastronomy, cuisine, food, culinary, they're all same. They're all same. Cuisine tourism, whatever you call it, they are all same.
Chef, what is, in your opinion, on starting up a food business at this situation? Is it advisable? If not a food outlet, one of the professor asked a question. What is, in your opinion, on starting a food business at this situation? Is it advisable now? If not food outlet, what other food related business will be welcome at this time?
Chef Raj, thank you for the question. I also have the screen that I can see that.
Yeah.
So asking by a chef, I would really say that. See, I always say that as long as the humans are eating, our business is secure. But I would personally, if you ask my opinion, I would say rather wait for a little while, not long, prepare your basics, how you want to do it. And I think the next era, if you're starting something, start, promoting your dishes by the health benefit of the dishes that you're doing. It is my personal suggestion. So it is a good time to learning. And maybe I think in a month or so, you will be in a good position to sell your dishes by its health benefit. Because I think people are too conscious about it now. What is health and how it is health. And we spoke about immunity. So I think if you can, as a chef, I'm sure you know a lot of things. Yeah. So you can talk about some immunity boosting food and good digestive food or something like that. Something would be a very great option to start with actually. And if you're starting now, it's a very good time because you don't have to redo anything or undo anything. You just need to do it right first.
One of the question from a participant that how do you promote the cuisine of Himachal? Because one of the
Himachal cuisine,
yes.
The dham food is one of the most already famous food. So I think you need to learn because dham food has already been there from long time. And Himachali food, either you talk about Sidhu, and so on. I would not name anything particularly here. But there are a lot of food. People know it already. But of course, social media is a very good tool right now to use it. So even your mom cooked recipe could go miles, million years. You just need to do it right. That's what I say.
Is there any scope that, no, this is not a complete question. Somebody asked that, not finished. Why is culinary tourism still small chunk of the pie of India, although being such a diverse country?
See, this is a question I also ask myself and also ask every...
The question asked by one of our students.
Yeah, but I think I would say that we were very lazy to realize its importance. Luckily, awakened and happening. I can see from, at least from past 3 to 4 years, people have awakened. I've been working and the trend have changed completely. The travel trend from past 5 years have changed completely. People are also interested to talk about it. The hesitance, the global acceptance of India. And I would again give this credit to social media. The way our country has been marketed, not only by just because of selling it, just talking about it. And our diaspora who are in other countries have created a hype about our culture. So the credit goes to it. But still, I agree with you, and I'm also in the same line where you have been asking about why make it big. And I'm having a very good hope by the student at least who are listening. At least they're going to talk about it. next time wherever they go and talk about. So the team makes it bigger.
It's not like earlier because the promotion, it is on the palm now. Any food they're cooking, any food they're making, yes, it is easy for the world to accept it.
Yep.
Sir, a question from street foods are an important aspect of Indian culinary tourism, right? But hygiene has become an issue during this pandemic situation. How we should solve this problem, because we can go towards the street food now to promote, because every region has got their classic regional influenced your street food. How because of the hygienic condition, how we are going to solve this problem?
This pandemic at least has shaken us to the deep, where every individual have understood the importance of hygiene. Either he's a rickshaw puller, he carries a small sanitizer, or to the topmost. So I think your half of the job is done already about talking about the importance of hygiene. The only is that as a consumer, you should not accept it. I think I never blame a server or a business owner. I always blame a consumer that why you accept it. If you raise the voice that I won't buy from you if you don't maintain that, trust me, the change will happen very next day. So as a consumer, we should start voicing it out. Trust me, the difference will come from very next day. I have done that. I've tried that for many years and it's working. Or I became a support to many street food vendors who couldn't afford it, which became a part of their business now. I tell you a very small story. I work with a chaatwala who is in business from 120 years in Old Delhi. He's a part of my street food walk. And the shop is running for 120 years. And to explain that guy that why you need to wear a gloves, apron, and cap right now in your business, why it is important. And why important means he's been doing the same thing from 120 years and nobody came and asked him. I said, I'm going to bring the foreigners to your stand. And you doesn't qualify the global standards, even my standards. Now, if I honestly have to say. So I think after taking 1 or 2 guy, his opinion changed. And if you look at now, 120-year-old shop started wearing from 3 years now. He's been wearing all the necessary requirement, either gloves you talk about, either apron you talk about, either hats you talk about, net hats. So the change came in. There is a change which is coming. But I think as a consumer, you need to talk about it now. Yeah. Over to Indrajit.
Thank you so much, Chef. No, you have touched plethora of topics here, in such a simple way, and in such a such a simple and you have touched so many aspects. I hope you could have more time with you. You have touched talking about Vedic farming, forest food, act of preservation, ancient way of food processing, role of media, how it's crucial, a night market. You also talked about consumerism, how consumerism is going to play a very important role. And you have such a depth knowledge about so much things. And it's an honor to have you with our session today. And thank you so much on behalf of Amity University and Amity History of Travel and Tourism and Amity School of Hospitality today. Thank you so much, Chef. And
I thank you guys giving this opportunity to me. Nothing better than talking to students.
Thank you so much. I'm looking forward to have more associations with you in the future.
Definitely. Yep.
Thank you very much, Chef.
Thank you.